Welcome to Unity Today as we begin part 4 of our series entitled How We Ought to Pray. So far we have discussed the first 3 petitions in the Lord's Prayer. We have learned that our first concern should be to worship and honor our King. Now, as we enter the last 3, we find that Jesus is teaching us how to communicate our needs to the Father. Please unite your hearts with me as we read Matthew 6, verse 11. Give us this day our daily bread. As we said earlier, the first 3 petitions relate to God, while the last 3 relate to us. God is concerned with us. He is concerned about our needs. The very fact that the words say, "Give us this day our daily bread," shows that we are dependent on God for our very sustenance, the most important factors of life, such as food and water. But Jesus goes on to speak later in chapter 6 about clothing and shelter. So bread not only encompasses just food, but also our other daily necessities. This, however, also opens the door for other possibilities. Jesus said in Matthew 7:11, "If you then, though you are evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father in heaven give good gifts to those who ask him?" These good gifts are under no limitation. If there are needs for healing of the sick, peace when storms are raging, strength for the weak, victory when it seems that defeat is on the horizon, God is ready to give to those who love him. As we said previously, God knows the number of hairs on your head. He is concerned for you, his creation. He is concerned about those who love him and truly put first his kingdom. God yearns to grant us the things we desire, but we need to remember is that if we are truly seeking his kingdom first, then our desires center around him. I ask you, whether you are young or old, male or female, white or black, if Jesus was with you, what would you ask him for? Would it still be a date with that girl or guy, or would it be God would heal a sick family member? Would it be that you could drive a BMW or Audi when your car is really okay? Or would you pray that God would pull together resources for that struggling single mom in your church? See, when we are truly seeking Christ and our eyes are turned to him, the things of this world, the so-called trappings of success, have no meaning for us. They diminish in comparison to who he is and what he really is able to do if we submit our wills to him and give up our desires for his. I have spoken with people who have become disheartened because they had prayed and prayed, and the thing for which they had been praying for had not come to pass. They felt that God had let them down. Next, they started to doubt the scriptures were truly inspired by God, and deep inside their hearts, bitterness started to spring up against God. Perhaps you're trying to claim Proverbs 16:4, "Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and your plans will succeed." Remember, this is not an ironclad promise, but a general truth about God. What I mean is that someone may go and pray to God and submit their honorable, or on the other end of the spectrum, selfish or immoral plans to him, only to have them fail. This general truth teaches that lives that are truly committed to God will succeed, but it will be according to God's idea of success, not our own and definitely not the world's. Our life should be as Jesus's was when he prayed in the Garden of Gethsemane the night before his death. Though struggling with what was about to happen to him, he prayed, "Not my will, but yours be done." We should be setting our eyes, hearts, and desires toward heaven. How can we bless others? How can we heal the brokenness around us? How can we show the love of Christ to a lost and dying world? Let's talk about the other meaning of our daily bread. While it can mean our physical needs being met, it also speaks about our spiritual needs, for we are not just physical beings, but spiritual beings also. Just as our human bodies need to be fed, so does our souls. Jesus was not just talking about provision for our day-to-day needs, but also the provision of our spiritual needs that comes from time spent with him, where he is able to impart life to us. He is the bread of life, eternal life, and we need to partake of him daily. So let's try to concentrate more on how we can be Christ's ambassadors to the world. Let's concentrate on making his desires ours so that we can reach those who are in need. And in doing so, let us not forget to partake of his goodness to us by spending time with him so that we can be fed from the Master's hands.